Hey, this is Louis D. Fresh bringing it to you on a Wednesday. Today, what we're going to do is finish up our little, at least, discussion on the SAT. We discussed previously about the SAT on what it is, and in the second one, we spoke about how to prepare for it. And now I think the third thing, which is just as equally as important as what it is and how to prepare, is what to expect on the SAT test day. Because I know sometimes you just got to be ready, and so I did, and so that's this topic, the SAT, what to expect. As I'm looking at my notes, I'm sorry, I'm going to show you now. You see, again, I have my notes. Again, you see it's part 3 of the series, SAT test day, what to expect on test day. And those are my little notes. Again, really important to take notes on these topics. The reason I harp on these notes is because they are exactly that. It's stuff that you can refer back to, whether you take notes on your tablet or your whatever electronic notepad, or whatever it is. I would take notes because these things really do come in handy when it comes time to do these things. Again, we got Google as our best friend and what to expect on SAT test day, and we're going to go right to the source of information. Again, what to expect on SAT test day. Again, if you need to write it down, if you didn't write it down in the first 2 segments of the what SAT is and how to prepare, that is the company that makes this test. It's called College Board, BOARD.org. Again, once you click on that link, you see what to expect on test day. I am filming this on July 21st of 2021. Here in South Florida, this time of year, July, more August, September, October, we do have things called hurricanes. And other places around the United States, they have earthquakes, God forbid. There are tornadoes. There are hailstorms. There are snowstorms later on in the winter time. Not here, but other places. So you really, number one thing you want to do is check for closings. Make sure that your test center, the one that you registered for, if you look back on your first installment of the SAT, that was one of the things, registering for your test. And now that it's the actual test day, you want to be triple checked that your school is open. God forbid there was some type of emergency. God forbid there was some type of burglary. There could be all sorts of things. There could be some type of, water issue, fire issue, an infestation of rats. I'm not trying to be funny. There's all kinds of things that do happen. So it is really, really important to check to make sure your test center is open. I'm sure you're laughing at the infestation of rats, but you'd be surprised. The other thing that is important, this is again July 21st, 2021. Sadly, we're still in this pandemic issue. I know the issue right now is the Delta variant, and there may be closings. And so I think that's why, if you look way back in my archives, I use the word zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. This is the spirit. I'm looking at my notes. The spirit of the times, which I wrote in my notes. Make sure that if there is a continued pandemic, the school may require you to have a face covering. So I think it's really important that you realize the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times, and be aware of that. And so this way you plan accordingly for your test on that particular day. Again, I do live on the East Coast. But if you're watching this, I guess maybe in Central Time, Mountain Time, Pacific Time, this is just a general blanket statement of what time the doors open. In other words, the time that you can go in. Usually you see there around 7:45 to 8 a.m. And please note what it says on your admission ticket. It may vary. So just because this is a blanket statement, really check your school that you're taking this test in, and see if that is indeed the case where you will be taking the test. And notice the window is very short. It's only 7:45 to 8 a.m. So you really need to get there, in my opinion, if this were the case, to get there by 7:30 at the very latest, because there will be literally hundreds of kids there. So you don't want to make sure that you're not shut out. Again, we're doing this relating to the SAT, what to expect on the test day itself. You notice testing starts here between 8:30 and 9 a.m. Again, check your local listings, as I say in the TV world. As I look at my notes here, listen to all instructions as I'm looking at my notes and not what's on the screen, but you can follow along on the screen. Listen to all instructions, including stop and start times. Also, you can only work on a given section. You can't go ahead and go to a different test, and you actually can't go backwards on a given test. That's very important as you're looking at, again, the testing start time. And something that I forgot to mention here. Notice here it says wait to be seated. You can't sit next to your best friend or Susie Q or oh my God. You have to wait until the proctor says, okay, Johnny, you sit here, Mary, you sit there. That's really important, and don't give the proctor a hard time. There's something that they're instructed to do. So, as I was saying, listen to all the instructions, when to stop, when to start exams, work on only given sections, and the test coordinator will collect, I'm looking at my notes, will collect and count your tests. So you cannot keep any materials. You see even here, it says test coordinator will collect and count the test books, but that includes scrap paper. So don't leave scrap paper laying around. Everything will be collected on that day for that particular test. And again, the obvious is not obvious. Do not, because your name will go on that scrap paper. I know it doesn't mean anything, I know, but you never know. Things are weird this time of year. Don't put anything silly, or don't draw anything that's inappropriate. Don't say, oh, I'm gonna bomb the school, because I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, I know people think, in these day and age, the zeitgeist does not permit for silliness. This is a serious test and should be treated as such, because now you know what the test is, you have prepared for the test, and now you're during the test. Don't mess it up. The fourth thing that you should be aware of, because we mentioned closings, we mentioned the zeitgeist, that's 1.5. We mentioned when doors open and what to expect on the actual test during the actual test taking. The fourth thing that you should be aware of is that there will be breaks. There will be one 10-minute break and one 5-minute break during the test. And that is the only time, as I wrote it down here too, that you can eat or drink. That is the only time. So don't say, you cannot eat and drink. So make sure that you have a good breakfast before you actually go there. I don't eat breakfast. Eat breakfast, because you will only have opportunity to eat during breaks. And during breaks, as I look on my notes, and as you see on the first bullet point there, keep your ID, whatever your ID is, and your admission ticket with you at all times. Yeah, but that's stupid. Everybody knows who I am. Make sure you have your ID. Make sure you have your ticket. Don't leave it around. But everybody knows me. It doesn't matter. Make sure you have it with you, because if it's gone, and you'll be excused from the test. And also, you cannot use your phone. You see that the third bullet, you cannot power up your devices like cell phones. If you do, your score will be canceled. Now, 18,000 years ago in 2013, I was proctoring a test. I wasn't the main proctor, but and my section went well and blah blah blah. But there was another classroom, and I'm not trying to be funny. In 2013, I remember it vividly. There was a whole bunch of kids whose tests were canceled because they cell phone went off. I'm looking here. The cell phone cannot be anywhere visible. I'm just telling you because I'll talk more about devices in a sec. I'm looking at my notes, but it cannot go off. Nothing can happen. That thing has to be off. God forbid there's an emergency at home. They will call parents, mom, dad, whatever, will call the school. You cannot use their cell phone, period. Fifth thing that you should be aware of on the actual test day is dismissal. So if you're not driving, or you're working afterwards, or whatever the case may be, you have to pick up your little sister, whatever it may be, the dismissal time with the essay should be around 1 p.m. And without the essay, it should be around noon. The key word is around. Why? Because sometimes there's a large crowd and sometimes testing takes longer to collect tests, give out tests, give out instructions. So that is a ballpark 1 p.m. with essay, 12 p.m. without. And the last thing I'm going to harp on again are the devices, because I know I'm shooting these videos with a phone. So I know that our cell phone, sadly, is our right arm. It's everything. And so this is why it's good to go over these things. The sixth and final thing about devices. Notice the first bullet point there. Test administration staff reserves the right to collect and hold the cell phone during the test administration. Do not give your test administrator a hard time if that is what they choose to do, because they have the right to do it. So that's why we're going over what to expect on the test day. If your cell phone, and I think I was trying to mention this earlier, if there's noise, I'm looking at my notes, if you're using it, even looking around for it, your scores can and will be canceled. So this is really important because I saw it happen my own eyes in 2013. A bunch of kids' test scores were canceled because of them rifling around, messing around with their cell phones. It will be canceled. And last but not least, the College Board is not responsible for the loss or damage of personal items, including electronic devices, while you're at the test center. So if something happens, it should fall, it's raining, it's snowing, it got wet, whatever, somebody stepped on it, it is not the College Board. And to be very frank, it's really not the school's issue too. That is your personal responsibility. So if you can to not bring it, don't bring it, because it's just going to cause you aggravation. And so those are the 6 things that we have for this SAT for the actual test day. Again, check for closings. Check to make sure if you, in this case, the zeitgeist, the pandemic, do you need a face covering? What time the door is open? What time the door is closed? When the test, I'm looking at my notes again, when the test starts, listen to all the instructions. Don't go ahead, don't go behind. Make sure that you have a calculator. I didn't say that earlier. Have a calculator. Make sure that that you're patient. And that you realize that there will be breaks. Again, reviewing. 10-minute break and a 5-minute break, and that's the only time that you can eat. And reviewing, remember, dismissal time between 12 and 1, depending on if you're taking it with the essay or not. And the devices, in my opinion, leave the cell phone home, because it's going to create a lot of unnecessary heartache if you're going to have to collect it. If, God forbid, it breaks, God forbid somebody calls, something, God forbid, anything vibrates, anything. You don't want to. You work so hard, and God forbid that your test gets canceled. I hope you enjoyed my SAT test day, and knock it out, and let's do it. This is Pt.3.